Hi friends, Jen here with Serenity Hill Farmstead. We are out on the farm today and you are going to hear all the roosters crowing. We came out to do chores, of course, and all three of them have found their crows. We have the one rooster we've had for a few years now, but they're all in different coops and because we've got breeding stock and, it's 4-H thing. And the one that wasn't crowing at all has now found his crow, and the little bantam thinks he is mightier than he is. And then we have our Egyptian Fayumi, who is the ruler of all of the hens. And he, of course, has all things to say on the matter. So they're all kind of going back and forth, and you're going to hear a lot of crowing, most likely. So if you don't mind roosters and hearing them incessantly crow, hang out with me today because we're going to talk about a really good topic. So recently, a couple videos ago, I did a video on 10 herbs to start with. If you are a total newbie to herbs, new to herbalism, you maybe have your interest piqued, but you don't really know where to go from there. And I gave you a list of 10 herbs, talked about what they did. They're really easy to either grow or get your hands on them and be able to work with them. So if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to put that down in the description box and you can go check that out when you're done here. But today we're going to talk about growing. So there's two different ways that you can start growing your own herbs. You can either buy seed and start them from seed, or you can buy them as starts. And I'm going to talk about starts first because there's some things to consider that are a little bit different than what you would do if you're just going to pick up your tomatoes and your peppers and things from the local greenhouse or Walmart or whatever. When it comes to medicinal herbs, we don't just look at the English name of it, okay? We are looking at the Latin name. And when you're buying something like lavender, there are many, many different types of lavender. And when you're talking about medicinal preparation, while you can use different forms of lavender medicinally, Lavandula augustifolia is the one that we are speaking about. But you don't want to purchase it as English lavender because it could be a cross, or it could not be real true English lavender because things get mislabeled. So if you're doing that, I would highly suggest doing something like going on to strictly medicinal seeds, and I'm going to talk about them pretty much solely here because that's where I get all of my medicinal herb seeds from. If we're not seed saving ourselves, I'm purchasing from them. They do have cuttings, live plants that you can purchase from. So it doesn't all have to be from seed. They do have some other options. They're just obviously a little bit more expensive because, there's a seed pack and there's a live plant and there's things that you have to consider there. So there's a little bit more cost involved. Now, when it comes to lavender, you can also get cuttings from lavender, and we'll do all of that later when I'm actually showing you how to do it. But you can take a cutting, you can dip it in a special type of powder. Some people use raw honey. Like there's different things that you can use, and that basically stimulates roots to grow. And you put that in the soil, and then you are propagating from a cutting. There's other plants you can do that with, like elderberry is really, really easy to do. I have a video on how to do that. I will put down below if you are interested in getting elderberry cuttings. Now is actually a great time of year to do that in most areas. So there's ways that you can go out and you can wildcraft and you can get cuttings from dormant plants to propagate and then transplant into your garden or into pots if you don't have a garden. That's a new one. Or like I said, you can just purchase a started plant. Now, another one I want to talk about, if you're going into a greenhouse, now they tend to be more accurately labeled, but peppermint is another one that has many different types of peppermint. There's many different types of mint out there, lots of types. And there's many types of peppermint that don't look like traditional peppermint. You'll find things like apple mint and strawberry mint and chocolate mint, which actually we do grow because it's really delicious. And then you'll find spearmint, peppermint. There's lots of different types of mint, and you want to make sure you're getting the same one. I had a friend actually that thought she was buying spearmint and was just going based off of what it looked like, and she actually bought oregano. And it was an unfortunate accident, but now she has come to love her oregano. So thankfully she put it in a pot and all is well. But it just goes to show that greenhouses can make mistakes. Walmart, of course, they're just throwing out pots. So if a tag comes out, someone just puts it right back in. You don't know, a lot of the time if what you're getting is really what you're getting. Obviously, if you are smelling things, putting your hands on things, you can tell the difference between an oregano and a peppermint. But is it a peppermint? Is it a spearmint? Is it a different variation of a mint? Sometimes you are not going to get what you think you're getting. And when it comes to things like a lavender, where it all looks like lavender, are you getting the Augustifolia, or are you getting a different variation of lavender that is not really what you were going for? Like I said, these herbs, they all have medicinal value, but some types you want the specific type. So you're looking again for the Latin name. And in a greenhouse, you're likely not going to find that. I have been in one greenhouse that will put the Latin name on things. But that's it. So that's really going to be specific to your area and the resources you have at hand there. So my go-to is to start from seed. And like I had said, we either will harvest our seed, we will seed save from our plants, or we will purchase our medicinal herb seeds from Strictly Medicinal Seeds. I really enjoy this company. They have a lot of really amazing resources for people that are new to growing, are new to herbs. They've got some great books that I highly recommend. Just go on their website. The link's down below. And there's just such a wealth of information on their website. I really highly suggest, if you're considering growing herbs from really at all, whether you're doing starts or from seed, to go on there and to check out their resources, because you're going to learn tons and tons over there. A little side note. This is my Breathe tea that I drink every single day in the winter to help keep my asthma, my breathing managed, because it does not like the cold weather at all. It's a big trigger for me. That I decided to kind of stir it up a little bit, change it up, if you will. And I put like an extra hefty dose of Tulsi in here, Rama Tulsi, and I put oat straw in here, and it's so good. It's really delicious. I am drinking a ton of this. Also, on an extra little side note, if you are drinking herbal tea that does not have super high diuretic properties in it, like a lot of diuretic properties, this counts as water. So all of you people that don't like to drink your water but will drink herbal tea, drink up, because this will hydrate you. So when it comes to seed starting, all of these seeds are different. I am starting seeds very, very soon. Like within the next week, I'm going to be setting up my seed starting setup. And of course, I'll share all this with you guys when we do it. And I'm going to start getting things cold stratified that need to be cold stratified. I'm going to be going over all of those terms. Don't get overwhelmed now. This is an intro video and I'm throwing out terms at you like cold stratification. Don't worry, I will teach you how to do all of this, I promise. But I'm looking at my seeds now and I'm seeing what needs to be placed in dormancy before I can pull it out and plant it. And I'm looking at what has long germination time. So I'm considering all of that in my seeds now. And when it comes to planning for what you're going to grow, these are important things. So you want to look at, it's very simple. Look at your seed packets and it'll tell you the instructions on there. It's super simple. And it'll say how many days to germinate. It'll tell you how long the grow period is. And you really just look at your grow, like your your first frost date for the year. So for us, it's in October, and you count backwards how many days. And that's how you figure out when you need to start your seeds. So there's the how to, there's the options of how you can get started. You can propagate, you can buy starts or cuttings, and then you can also start from seed. But let's talk about the herbs. So here's the 5 herbs that are super, super easy to grow. They're super prolific. You would have them for years and years. I'm giving you perennial herbs because once you get these established, they will serve you year after year after year. The very first one I'm going to talk about is peppermint. Peppermint is super versatile. It has a really delicious flavor. It can be very, very strong, but you can steep it longer. You can steep it less. You can mix it with different types of herbs. I love to mix a peppermint with an adaptogen like Tulsi and something floral like lavender. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And you need very, very little of it because it is so potent. But it's a very easy herb to get started. Now, it is very invasive. Anything in the mint family has a tendency, for the most part, there are a couple exceptions, but it has a tendency to spread and to spread quickly. And it doesn't just kind of spread out, it will put runners out underneath, and you will have peppermint here and peppermint there and peppermint there. So if you don't have a ton of room for your peppermint, I would highly suggest you put it in a pot and make sure it's one that doesn't have holes in it. So you can put drainage into a pot just by putting some rocks, some pebbles at the bottom, putting your soil, and then putting your plant, and that'll help with making sure that your plant doesn't get soggy and rot. You don't want that to happen. But if you're setting your pot down on the ground where there is dirt, if you have holes in that pot, that mint will find a way to go underneath, go through those holes, root in the ground, and then it'll come up all around it. These are all lessons that we've learned over time in the years of doing this. So when we were making this nice little tea garden in pots in the front little corner of our house, and now we have a huge bed of chocolate mint and hyssop. I can't be mad at it, but you know, we learned some lessons. But peppermint is super good for the digestion. If you are someone that has indigestion or has heartburn, like immediately after you have a certain type of food, a big one is something that's like real acid based, like a tomato product. If you're having salsa or tomato sauce and you start getting heartburn or indigestion right away, peppermint is really good at soothing that and helping regulate the acid in there. Most indigestion actually happens because there is a lack of acid, and if you take an antacid like a Tums, for example, that is going to further suppress it, and then your stomach goes kind of haywire and decides, whoa, there's less, we need to produce more, and then you will have more symptoms. So peppermint helps regulate you, whether if you are low, it will help increase your acid a little bit so that you are not having those symptoms, and if you are high, it will help decrease again, so you're not having those types of symptoms. And a decrease in acid can cause just as many problems as an increase in acid. So it's very important to have that regulation. So peppermint is really, really good to help as a digestive aid. The next one I kind of mentioned already is hyssop. This is another one in the mint family. It's going to spread, but it's a wonderful expectorant. And hyssop is kind of like the respiratory heal-all kind of a thing in the herb world, where it's going to help aid the toning and promote the healing in your lungs when you're going through something either chronic or something acute, like a bronchitis or a pneumonia, cold, COVID, flu. It's going to help with that. And it has this amazing expectorant property, and it helps loosen all of the junk that could be sitting in there, especially in the last 2 years. I feel like there's just been this cold that's gone around, and it produces this insane thick mucus that hangs out down the back of your sinuses and the top of your throat. And during the night when you're laying down and you're sleeping, you get that post-nasal drip, and it just kind of settles into your upper respiratory area, and you wake up like having a hard time breathing and coughing and gagging, and it's so exhausting trying to clear that. Taking hyssop regularly for a while, it's not recommended to take it for a long period of time, but taking it for, daily basis, couple times a day in a tea for a few weeks at a time to help clear that out is a really great thing to have. I choose to take hyssop through winter. So once winter's over and I'm not having the issues with my asthma, with the mucus production, and I don't need that expectorant property, then I back off and I don't use the hyssop, but I stay in with the mullein and things that will still help tone my lungs. But hyssop is just that really great aid to help you kick whatever is kind of ailing you that you're struggling with respiratory issues. The next one I'm going to talk about is lemon balm, and lemon balm is so delicious. It's got this light, fresh, lemony scent. It's not like super overwhelmingly strong, but it's so light and fresh. Light and fresh, I feel like, are the best adjectives to describe this herb. It is a lower lying plant, and it bushes out, and you can have multiple harvests off this plant in a year. It does spread out, but it does so very slowly. So you could absolutely keep this in a pot and it would thrive and do wonderfully. You can cut it back and it bushes out again, and cut it back and bushes out. Like I said, you're having multiple harvests every single year. Or you could put it in the ground, and it's not going to get away from you and be crazy like we've talked about with hyssop and peppermint. This is something that you could still totally manage in the ground. We have it planted, obviously. We have it planted in the ground, and it doesn't take over an area, but it does send out more areas more shoots, and it bushes out more. So it is very easy to manage. It's really, really good for so many different things. It's fabulous for the gut because it can help regulate digestion, similar to how peppermint can, but it's really good as a nervine and the gut together. So if you are someone that has like a nervous gut, lemon balm is really good to help kind of calm and settle your stomach. It's really good for helping to regulate the nervous system also, and it is really gentle for kids. If you've got kids that have anxiety, lemon balm could be something that could work really well for them. It's also really good as a sleep aid. Some people can take a lemon balm tincture or drink just a plain lemon balm tea at night, and that's all they need to get to bed. Again, this is an individual thing, and everybody responds differently to herbs, so you have to kind of play around with it and see what works best for you. But lemon balm, either by itself for some people or as an additive with some other things, you can't go wrong with lemon balm. It's a great, great herb. This next one I'm going to talk about is kind of along the same lines with some of the things that we just talked about with lemon balm, but it's a really lovely herb for a couple other things we'll talk about, and that is chamomile. So chamomile is a very dainty herb. It doesn't take up a lot of space, but it does get pretty tall. So you could, if you were wanting to create just a little tea garden here, you could really feasibly put all these 5 herbs together and just kind of stagger it and make a really beautifully, like aesthetically pleasing type of tea garden all within one box. And it would be really pretty. It would be really, really nice. I have a picture in my head now. That would be really pretty. Chamomile is a fabulous nervine. It's also a fabulous digestive aid, just like 2 things we talked about with lemon balm. But chamomile is also really, really good for helping to control gas and bloating. And something I wish I would have known about it like 18 years ago is it is really good for babies that are colicky. And you know those little gas drops that you can get for babies, and you just kind of put the dropper on the side of their cheek and squirt a little bit in? You can do the same thing with some cooled chamomile tea, and it can help release the gas and release all of that pressure that a colicky baby experiences in their gut and help them get relief. It is so gentle, it's so mild, yet it's so powerful and effective for people of all ages. Chamomile also has some really amazing properties for the skin, and it can be really beneficial for 2 things that people can deal with quite often, and that is like canker sores. If you deal with any kind of ulcers in the mouth and sores on the lips, using that as a compress is really beneficial for helping to control the spread and to help promote healing there. And with pink eye. So it's the same thing. If you create a strong tea, let it cool, take a compress and just kind of soak it up. I'm going to use my little head thing here. And you just kind of like put it in there, squeeze it out, and just hold it on the eye. It can help you to clear pink eye. It is super, super effective. We learned that when I discovered that my son, one of my kids, had a really, really severe case. And we were like, oh, and it just came out of nowhere. It was like, he's a little itchy one day. Maybe he got into something. Maybe it's a new allergy. Who knows? Who knows? And then the next day it was like swollen shut, and it was really bad. It was like the infection was going into the outside area. So at that point in time, I'm like, it's doctor time. And we discovered that he is allergic to the pink eye drops. There's 2 different types. He's allergic to both of them. We ended up doing a few other things, going a different route, and the compresses gave him the most relief. And it was like instant relief. It just cooled the burning. It soothed the itching. It helped to clear all of the issue, all of the gunk that was just getting in there. It was the biggest relief that he had. So that, coupled with some of the pharmaceutical treatment that he had to have for a short time, that really helped clear his eye so much better than those drops would have. So chamomile is a fabulous herb to keep on hand for so many different reasons. Aside from that, it is so good. Chamomile, I'm a little biased. It is my absolute favorite scent of all of the herbs. It is my absolute favorite. And it has this it's a floral herb. Obviously, we're going after the flowers, but it's not this overwhelming floral scent or taste. It is kind of like, has these appley notes to it. And it's just, it's sweet in a not overpowering way. And it pairs really, really well with pretty much anything you put it with. So it's also really good for helping to calm the nervous stomach and to just help soothe your nerves, kind of calm you at the end of the day, or just kind of, relax you and unwind at the end of the day. We also use chamomile as a tincture to help with the nervous stomach during traveling that can contribute to motion sickness. This works with some people. If your motion sickness is like a vertigo issue, it has to do more with your nervous system, then chamomile is not what you want to reach for that. But if it is you're nervous in the car for long periods of time, worried about the bathroom, worried about, things that could happen. Some people get motion sickness related to their nerves, then chamomile can help you here too. And the last one I'm going to talk about is another floral, and it is for the skin, and that is calendula. Calendula is such a wonderful herb and so easy to work with. You lay the seed down, kind of tamp it down. I like to spread just a little layer of soil on top, tap it back down again. Keep it well watered, not saturated, not soaked. Okay, we're not trying to flood it out. Just keep it, good and evenly watered until it germinates, and you're pretty good to go after that. We don't have to water it throughout the year unless we're in severe drought conditions. It's a hardy herb, and then to seed save it at the end of the year, you literally just let everything kind of die back, and when you see the little crusty things on the top, you pop them off, and that's your seed. It really is that simple. And one small patch of calendula, if you put calendula in a pot, you will have hundreds of seeds for the next season, and you could sell them, you could gift them, you could seed swap. There's so many different options there with that. Love collecting seeds. But calendula is a great herb for two specific reasons. One, the petals, they're really good for the gut also. It can help support gut health in that aspect. But where it really shines is in the skin capabilities. It has this fabulous property where it can help promote healing with your skin. So I like to do a lot of different things with calendula. We infuse it into an oil. So the way we do that is we dry everything first. The power in this plant is in the resin. So if you're purchasing a calendula instead of growing it, it's really ideal if you can find whole flower heads versus just the petals. Even though there are properties in the whole plant, it really shines if you can find the whole intact flower head, because you've got the most resin in there. And that's, like I said, where you've got the super concentrated medicinal properties in there. It's like superpowers. So what calendula can do for the skin is, again, it can help promote healing. It can help kind of knit all of the damaged tissues back together. It can help speed up healing too, not just helping promote the healing process, but help it go faster. Such a fabulous herb. But we like to infuse that by drying it first and then infusing it into an olive oil or into a jojoba oil or into a castor oil, and then we can put that into soap, and then we have calendula soap, and it's just such a fabulous soap. Another great way to use it that I actually personally use it the most in is in a salve. I've talked before about having rosacea. My rosacea is from my autoimmune disease. It's this just lovely secondary side effect I have of that. So initially I had the full rosacea mask. It was really bad. Now, full disclosure, I am wearing a little bit of makeup, very little. I put on a little bit of foundation and I put mascara on and chapstick, and that's my makeup. But I do have a little bit, and you can see that I do have the redness that is left is a capillary damage, and that is stuff that's not going to go away. But the redness that is associated with rosacea is due to swelling, and then the red lines is capillary breakage. So calendula can help decrease all of that inflammation. It can help decrease all of the swelling that will lead to that capillary breakage and that permanent damage that you're going to have in there. There's so many different topical applications that you can use it for. But as far as growing it, so easy to grow, super easy to grow. It does get a little bit taller, and it will continue to send out bulbs. So it's one of those, just like chamomile, because I didn't say this before, when you are pulling blossoms, you are making way for more to come. So it's like the more you harvest, the more you're going to harvest. And it is continual. So you will be harvesting again and again and again, as much as you want to, throughout the entire season. It just keeps on going. So all of these herbs that I've talked about are like that. They will just continue to give and give and give throughout the entire season, and you'll be able to have multiple harvests, and you'll be very surprised if you get 5 small, you know, like a pot like this. Get 1 pot for each one of these herbs. You will be blown away with how much herb you can put up. We're talking probably easily a couple gallons of each herb just off of having a pot of each of them. They are so prolific. They just give and give, and as long as you care for them, very minimally, I might add. It's not a very maintenance heavy thing. It's really easy to get these herbs established. It's really easy to care for them. They're very forgiving. If you miss watering for a day, that's okay. They will thrive regardless of whether or not you have remembered to water them every single day. All right, so that is 5 herbs. It's not a lot, just 5, but it's 5 things to get you started with support for your gut, for your nerves, for your lungs, for your skin, and what else? And it'll help support your sleep. So that's 5 things that can do, 5 herbs that can do a ton of different things. They can be paired together. They can be used individually. You can create products with it, herbal products with it. You could do so many different things with it. So I hope that this is motivating for you and you are ready to get into this next growing season, ready to grow some herbs. So if you have not subscribed yet, I want to invite you to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because if you like this video and you want to learn more, I'm going to be coming out with growing guides on all the herbs that we grow this year right here on YouTube. We will have complete instruction on how I'm starting them, how I'm growing them, any issues that come up and how we deal with those, maintain them, troubleshoot any problems. We're going to talk about it all, so you are not going to want to miss it. So thanks for hanging out with me today and talking about these 5 herbs, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.